Try that again, and you're a dead man. The words left my mouth before my brain could catch up, and the entire restaurant fell silent. Dead silent. The kind of silence where you can hear your own heartbeat thundering in your ears, where every breath feels like it might be your last. My hand was still raised from the slap I'd just delivered to Oliver Russo's face.
Oliver Russo.
The man who owned half the city. The man whose name people whispered with fear. The man whose touch on my body had just crossed a line I couldn't uncross. And I just threatened to kill him. You know, we all have moments in our lives where we look back and think about how differently things could have gone if we'd just kept our mouths shut, if we just swallowed our pride, if we just let something slide. This is a story about one of those moments. Except this moment didn't destroy my life. It saved it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I tell you how I went from a broke waitress working double shifts at Rico's Italian restaurant to the woman who completely transformed the most dangerous man in the city, let me ask you something. How are you doing today? Where are you watching from? Is it cold where you are or warm? I hope you're comfortable, because this story is going to take you on a ride you won't forget. My name is Annie Cooper, and 3 months ago, I was drowning. Not literally, but in every way that matters. I was 24 years old, working 70-hour weeks between 2 jobs, sleeping maybe 4 hours a night, and watching my little sister Lily die a little more each day. Lily was 19. Beautiful, smart, funny. She had acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and the treatments were bleeding me dry faster than I could earn. Our parents died in a car accident when I was 20 and she was 15, and since then, it had been just us. Us and our dog, Charlie, a scruffy terrier mix who was probably the only thing keeping both of us sane. I believed in hard work. I believed that if you kept your head down, did your job, treated people with respect, eventually things would get better. I believed that good things happened to good people, and that karma was real. I was wrong about a lot of things back then. The night everything changed started like any other Friday night at Rico's. The restaurant was packed, the kitchen was slammed, and I was running on 3 hours of sleep and my 4th cup of coffee. I'd picked up this shift as a favor to my manager, Tony, after working my morning job at the diner across town. My feet were killing me, my back ached, but I smiled at every table because that's what paid the bills. That's what kept Lily in treatment. Sarah Martinez, the waitress who normally worked the section, was handling table 7. I noticed because table 7 was loud. For men in expensive suits, laughing, drinking, making the kind of noise that said they owned the place. Which, technically, one of them did. Rico's paid protection money to the Russo family. Everyone knew it.
Nobody talked about it.
I was clearing table 3 when I heard Sarah's voice, tight and professional. Sir, I need to ask you to please keep your hands to yourself.
I glanced over.
One of the men at table 7 had his hand on her waist. Sarah stepped back, but she was smiling. That scared, fake smile we all learned to wear. The smile that said, please don't make this worse. The man laughed. His friends laughed. Nobody else in the restaurant said a word. I turned back to my tables. Not my section. Not my problem. I had enough problems. 30 minutes later, Sarah rushed past me toward the back. Her eyes were red. Annie, I have to go. Family emergency. Can you cover my section? Of course, I said, because what else could I say? Is everything okay? My mom, she said, grabbing her purse from the break room.
She fell.
I have to get to the hospital. She was gone before I could ask anything else. Tony appeared beside me, stress written all over his face. You got Sarah's tables? Yeah. Table 7 needs attention. They've been asking for refills. Table 7. The loud table. I grabbed a pitcher of water and headed over. That was the moment my life changed, though I didn't know it yet. The 4 men were deep in conversation when I approached. 3 of them were typical. Expensive suits, gold watches, the kind of men who thought money made them important. But the 4th man, the one sitting at the head of the table, was different. Even sitting down, I could tell he was tall. Dark hair, dark eyes, sharp features that would have been handsome if they weren't currently glazed with alcohol. His suit probably cost more than 3 months of Lily's treatment. He held his whiskey glass like it was water, and from the flush in his cheeks and the looseness of his posture, he'd been drinking for a while. "Gentlemen," I said, professional smile firmly in place. "Can I get you anything?" 3 of them barely looked at me. The 4th one, the man at the head of the table, his eyes locked onto mine, and I felt my stomach drop. I'd seen men look at women like that before, like we were something to consume. "Well," he said, his words slightly slurred. "Now this is an upgrade." I kept my smile. "Can I get you another round?" "You can get me your number," he said, and his friends laughed. I'd dealt with drunk customers before. You laugh it off, you redirect, you don't engage. "How about another whiskey instead?" I reached for his glass. His hand caught my wrist. Not hard, but firm. "I'm serious, sweetheart. You're the most beautiful thing I've seen all week." "Thank you, sir," I said, pulling my hand back gently. "I'll get that whiskey." I walked away. My heart was pounding, but I told myself it was fine. Drunk customers hit on waitresses. That was the job. You smiled, you deflected, you collected your tip and moved on. I brought the whiskey. He caught my hand again when I set it down. "What's your name?" "Annie." "Annie," he repeated, like he was tasting it. Beautiful name for a beautiful woman. "You know who I am, Annie?" I did. Everyone in this restaurant knew who Oliver Russo was. But I played dumb. Should I? That made him laugh. "I like you. You've got fire. Sit with me." "I can't, sir. I'm working." "I own this place," he said. "Technically, you work for me. So sit." "I have other tables," I said, and pulled my hand free. This went on for the next hour. Every time I came to the table, there was a comment. About my smile. About my legs. About what he'd like to do, if he could get me alone. His friends encouraged him, laughing, egging him on. The other customers pretended not to notice. I needed this job. I needed every dollar. So I smiled. I deflected. I kept my cool even as my hands shook with anger and humiliation. Then it happened. I was setting down a plate of pasta when I felt his hand on my body. Not my waist. Not my arm. His palm, flat against my backside, squeezing. Sexual assault. That's what it was. Not flirting. Not a compliment. Assault. My hand moved before my brain could stop it. The crack of my palm against his face echoed through the restaurant like a gunshot. Every conversation stopped. Every fork froze halfway to every mouth. Somewhere in the kitchen, a pot clattered to the floor. Oliver Russo stared at me, his hand on his reddening cheek, shock written across his features. His 3 friends rose from their seats. One of them reached inside his jacket. And I opened my mouth and said the words that would either kill me or save me. "Try that again, and you're a dead man." If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you're going to want to see where this goes. Drop a comment and let me know what you think Annie should do next. But let me continue, because what happened in the next 30 seconds would set everything else in motion. Let me tell you about the moments that followed, and how the most dangerous man in the city looked at me like he was seeing something he'd never seen before. Oliver Russo raised his hand, and his men froze. The one who'd been reaching for his jacket slowly lowered his arm. The other 2 sat back down, their eyes darting between their boss and me, trying to figure out what was happening. Honestly, I was trying to figure out the same thing. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might burst through my chest. My hand still tingled from the slap. Every survival instinct in my body was screaming at me to run, but my feet stayed planted. I don't know if it was courage or shock or just pure stupidity, but I didn't move. Oliver touched his cheek where I'd hit him, then looked at his fingers like he expected to see blood. When he looked back at me, something in his expression had changed. The drunken glaze was still there, but underneath it was something else. Something almost like respect. "Everyone out," he said quietly. For a second, nobody moved. I said, "Everyone out." His voice cracked like a whip, and suddenly the restaurant erupted into motion. Customers grabbed their coats, threw money on tables, practically ran for the door. His 3 friends stood, uncertainty written all over their faces. "You too," Oliver said to them. "Wait in the car." Boss, you sure? One of them asked, glancing at me like I might pull a weapon.
Now.
They left. Within 3 minutes, the restaurant was empty except for me, Oliver, Tony hiding somewhere in the back, and probably a terrified cook or two in the kitchen. Oliver gestured to the chair across from him.
Seat.
I'd rather stand. That wasn't a request. And what I said wasn't either. I shot back. My mouth was going to get me killed, but apparently it had decided we were all in now. You don't get to touch me. You don't get to touch anyone who doesn't want to be touched. I don't care who you are. He stared at me for a long moment, then did something I didn't expect. He laughed. Not the cruel laugh from earlier, but something genuine. Almost impressed. What's your last name, Annie? Cooper. Annie Cooper. He leaned back in his chair, studying me. Do you know what happens to people who disrespect me? I didn't disrespect you. I defended myself. There's a difference. Is there? He poured himself another whiskey with a steady hand. Less drunk now, or maybe just sobering up fast. In my world, putting your hands on me is a death sentence. In my world, putting your hands on me without permission is called assault. Fair point. He took a sip. You're not scared of me. I'm terrified of you, I admitted. But I'm more terrified of being someone who lets people treat her like property. I've got a little sister at home who looks up to me. What kind of example would I be setting if I let men like you think they can do whatever they want? Something flickered across his face. A little sister? 19. Leukemia. Every dollar I make goes to keeping her alive. So yes, I need this job desperately. But not desperately enough to let you assault me. The words hung in the air between us. I just told a Mafia boss that his money and power meant nothing compared to my dignity. Either I was the bravest person alive or the dumbest. Oliver set down his glass. How much does her treatment cost? That's none of your business. How much, Annie? Why do you care? Maybe I'm trying to figure out if you're brave or just crazy enough to throw away your livelihood for pride. It's not pride, I said, my voice shaking now. Not with fear, but with anger, with exhaustion, with 3 years of watching my sister suffer while I work myself to the bone. It's human decency. Something you clearly forgot while you were climbing to the top of whatever empire you run. I expected him to explode, to call his men back in, to make me disappear like I'd heard happen to people who crossed the Russo family. Instead, he stood up and pulled out his wallet. He placed $500 bills on the table. For your trouble tonight, he said, and your sister's treatment. I stared at the money. $500. That was a week of Lily's medications. Maybe more. I don't want your money. Take it anyway. I don't want anything from you except an apology for what you did.
His jaw tightened.
For a moment, I thought I'd pushed too far. Then he said, very quietly, "You're right. What I did was wrong. The alcohol isn't an excuse."
I'm sorry.
I wasn't expecting that. Mob bosses didn't apologize. At least, I didn't think they did. Your apology doesn't mean much if you're just going to do it again to the next waitress. I won't. Why should I believe you? Because you're the first person in 10 years who's been honest with me, he said. Everyone else either fears me or wants something from me. You just want me to be a decent human being. That's refreshing. He walked toward the door, then paused. Keep the money. Consider it an apology you can actually use. And, Annie. What? You're fired. My stomach dropped. What? You can't work here anymore. Not safe. My associates will talk, and not everyone will be as understanding as me about what happened tonight. He pulled out a business card and set it on the table next to the money. But I own a club downtown. Higher end. Better tips. Better clientele. Show up Monday morning. Ask for Marco. Tell him I sent you. The job's yours if you want it. Then he was gone, leaving me standing in an empty restaurant with $500 and more questions than answers. I picked up the money, with shaking hands. Lily needed her medication refilled tomorrow. This would cover it, plus some of the lab work her doctor wanted done. Pride was expensive, and I couldn't afford it. But I'd meant what I said. I'd rather be broke than broken. Tony emerged from the back office, his face pale. Annie, What just happened? I think I either made the best decision of my life or the worst, I said. I'm honestly not sure which. I took the money. I took the card. And on Monday morning, with Lily's encouragement and Charlie's tail wagging like this was all some grand adventure, I showed up at Russo's, the nightclub that Oliver owned in the heart of downtown. The place was beautiful. All dark wood and soft lighting, with a stage for live music and a bar that looked like it belonged in a movie. Marco, the manager, was a short Italian man with kind eyes who looked me over and nodded. Oliver called. Said you were tough. Said you didn't take any garbage from him. Is that a problem? In this business? That's exactly what we need. You ever worked a club before?
No.
You'll learn. Pay is $15 an hour plus tips. Tips here run good. Real good. Thursday through Saturday, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Sometimes private events. You interested? $15 an hour. That was $5 more than Rico's. And if the tips were even half what he suggested, I could actually start saving. Maybe even afford the experimental treatment Lily's doctor had mentioned. I'm interested.
Good.
You start Thursday. Dress code is all black, nice but comfortable. Nothing too fancy. We want approachable, not stuffy. I worked my first shift that Thursday, and Marco was right about the tips. In one night, I made what used to take me 3 nights at Rico's. The customers were different too. Still wealthy, still demanding, but somehow more respectful. Maybe it was the type of place, or maybe it was the fact that everyone knew this was Oliver's club and nobody wanted to cause problems on his turf. Oliver himself came in around 10 p.m. He was sober this time, dressed in a different expensive suit, his dark hair perfectly styled. He looked like a different person from the drunk man who'd grabbed me. He looked dangerous and controlled, and completely in command of everything around him. Our eyes met across the room. He nodded once, then turned his attention back to the men he was meeting with in the VIP section.
He didn't speak to me that night. Or the next week.
Or the week after that. But he was there every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Always in the VIP section. Always with business associates. And always, at some point in the night, his eyes would find mine across the room. I told myself it didn't mean anything. He was checking on his investment, making sure I wasn't causing problems. That was all. Lily's next round of lab results came back better than expected. Not good, but better. Her doctor was cautiously optimistic about her response to the current treatment. With the money from Russo's, I could afford to take her to her appointments without choosing between gas and groceries. I could buy her the foods she could actually keep down. I could take Charlie to the vet when he started limping. Life wasn't perfect, but it was manageable. For the first time in 3 years, I could breathe. That should have been my first warning. In my experience, whenever things start getting better, the universe is just winding up to knock you down harder. It was a Friday night in my 3rd week at Russo's when everything shifted. The club was packed, music pumping, and I was running drinks to table 12 when I heard raised voices from the VIP section. Oliver was standing, his face dark with anger, pointing at one of the men across from him. You had one job, Castellano. One job. And you couldn't even do that right. The man he was yelling at, Castellano, stood up too. I did exactly what you told me to do. You were supposed to be discreet. Instead, half the city knows about it. Maybe if you gave clear instructions instead of expecting everyone to read your mind. Oliver moved so fast I barely saw it. 1 second they were arguing. The next second he had Castellano pressed against the wall, his forearm across the man's throat. Careful, Oliver said, his voice deadly quiet. Very careful how you speak to me. I should have looked away. Should have minded my business. But something in the scene bothered me. Not the violence, though, that was disturbing enough. It was the look on Oliver's face. Rage, yes, but underneath it was something else. Frustration. Maybe even hurt. Marco appeared at my elbow. Keep moving. Not our concern. I kept moving. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. About the man who'd apologized to me for his behavior, who'd given me a job, who'd left me alone for weeks to let me settle in. About the man who'd just threatened someone's life without blinking. Which one was real? After closing, as I was counting out my tips in the back office, Marco came in. Boss wants to see you. My stomach flipped.
Why?
Didn't say. Just said send you up when you're done. Up meant Oliver's office on the 3rd floor. I'd never been up there. Nobody went up there unless summoned, and being summoned was rarely a good thing. I climbed the stairs with my heart in my throat, knocked on the heavy wooden door, and heard his voice.
Come in.
Oliver's office was exactly what you'd expect. Expensive furniture, dark colors, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, and a massive desk that probably cost more than my car. He was standing at the window, looking out over the city, a glass of whiskey in his hand. You wanted to see me?
I said.
Close the door. I did, staying near it, ready to run if necessary. What did you see tonight? He asked, not turning around. I saw you and another man having a disagreement. A disagreement? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. That's a polite way to put it. It's not my business. No, it's not. He turned to face me. But you looked at me like it bothered you.
Why?
I don't know what you mean. You looked at me like I disappointed you, Annie. Like you expected better. Had I? Maybe. I don't know you well enough to have expectations. But you have them anyway. He set down his glass and walked closer. Not threatening, just closer. You think I'm a monster. I think you're complicated. That's generous. You apologized to me. You gave me a job. You've left me alone to do my work without interference. But tonight, I saw you nearly choke a man for talking back to you. So yes, complicated seems like the right word. He studied my face like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Most people don't talk to me the way you do. Most people aren't me. No, he agreed. They're not. That's the problem. What does that mean? He didn't answer. Instead, he asked, How's your sister? The subject changed through me. Better. The new treatment seems to be working.
Good.
That's good. He walked back to his desk, picked up an envelope, and held it out to me. For you. What is it?
Bonus?
You've been doing good work.
Customers like you.
No drama. I opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $2,000. I can't accept this. Yes, you can. This is too much. It's not enough, he said quietly. For what your sister needs, it's not nearly enough. But it's what I can do right now without making it weird.
It's already weird, I said.
Why are you doing this? Because you're the only person who looks at me and sees a human being instead of a title, he said. Because you slapped me and told me I was better than my worst moment, and maybe I want to prove you right. Or maybe I just want to help someone who actually deserves it. Does it matter? I looked at the check. $2,000. That was the experimental treatment. That was hope. Thank you, I said. Don't thank me. Just keep being you. Keep being honest. And Annie? Yes. If you ever see me becoming the kind of man you can't respect, tell me. Promise me you'll tell me. It was a strange request. An intimate one. Like he was asking me to care about who he was as a person, not just as a boss. I promise, I said. I left his office that night with more questions than answers, but also with hope. Real hope. For Lily. For our future. I didn't realize then that Oliver Russo had just become the most important person in my life. That his interest in me wasn't just about respect or honesty or whatever he'd convinced himself it was about. I didn't realize that I was already starting to fall for a man whose world was built on violence, whose enemies would eventually become my enemies, whose love would save me and almost destroy me in equal measure. But I'd learn. In the weeks to come, I'd learn exactly what it meant to matter to Oliver Russo. And it would change absolutely everything. The experimental treatment worked. Not completely, not miraculously, but enough that Lily's oncologist used the word remission for the first time in 2 years. Remission. Such a small word for such enormous hope. I was in the hospital room when Dr. Patel delivered the news, and I watched my little sister cry tears of joy for the first time since our parents died. Charlie, who we'd sneaked in wrapped in my jacket, licked her face like he understood that something wonderful had just happened. It's not a cure, Dr. Patel warned. We need to continue treatment, continue monitoring. But the cancer is responding. Her numbers are better than we've seen in months. Whatever you've been doing, keep doing it. What I'd been doing was working at Russo's, taking Oliver's bonuses, accepting his help even though I knew I probably shouldn't. That night at work, I couldn't stop smiling.
Marco noticed.
You hit the lottery or something? Better. My sister's in remission. Annie, that's incredible. He pulled me into a hug, and several of the other staff members congratulated me. In 3 months, I'd become part of the family here. These people had heard me talk about Lily, had covered shifts when she had bad days, had slipped me extra tips when they knew things were tight. Oliver heard the news too. I don't know how, but he knew everything that happened in his club. Around midnight, Marco told me the boss wanted to see me upstairs. I climbed those stairs with a lightness I hadn't felt in years. When I knocked and entered, Oliver was at his desk, paperwork spread in front of him. He looked up and smiled. Actually smiled. I heard about your sister. News travels fast. Good news should. He stood and walked around the desk. I'm happy for you, Annie. Truly. Thank you. And thank you for everything you've done. The bonuses, the job, all of it. I couldn't have afforded her treatment without you. You would have found a way. You're stubborn like that. Stubborn or desperate?
Both.
It's part of your charm. He gestured to the leather couch against the wall.
Seat.
I want to talk to you about something. I sat, and he sat beside me. Not too close, but closer than a boss normally would. Over the past few months, something had shifted between us. The late-night conversations in his office had become routine. He'd ask about Lily, about my day. I'd ask about his business, carefully avoiding anything too illegal. We'd talk about books, movies, life. I'd started to see past the dangerous exterior to the man underneath. The man who remembered how I took my coffee. Who made sure drunk customers never got too close to me. Who'd had Charlie examined by the best veterinarian in the city when I'd mentioned his limp, then refused to let me pay the bill. I was falling for him. I knew it was stupid, knew it was dangerous, but I couldn't help it. What did you want to talk about? I asked. Oliver pulled out a folder and handed it to me. Open it. Inside were documents. Legal documents. My name was on them. What is this? A contract. For a new position. I want you to be my personal assistant. I looked up, confused. I'm a waitress. You're wasted as a waitress. You're smart, organized, honest. You see things other people miss. I need someone I can trust, and there aren't many people in my life I can say that about. Oliver, I don't know anything about your business. You'll learn. The pay is $60,000 a year, plus benefits. Full health insurance, which means your sister gets covered too. Better doctors, better treatment, whatever she needs. $60,000. I was making maybe 30 between my jobs. And health insurance for Lily? That alone was worth more than money. Why me? Because in 3 months, you've never asked me for anything. You've never tried to use our friendship for favors. You've never gossiped about what you see here. You're loyal, Annie, and loyalty is rare in my world. Your world is dangerous. Yes. People get hurt in your world. Yes. And you want me in it anyway? He leaned forward, his dark eyes intense. I want you safe. This keeps you safe. Working the floor, you're visible. You're a target if anyone wants to get to me. Up here, with me, I can protect you. I'm a target now. You became one the night you slapped me and didn't apologize. He said it matter-of-factly, like it was obvious. People noticed. They talk. Some see it as weakness that I let you disrespect me. Others see it as favoritism. Either way, you're on people's radar. This makes it official. You work for me directly. You're under my protection. Nobody touches you without answering to me. My heart was racing. And if I say no, then you say no. You keep working the floor. I'll still do everything I can to keep you safe, but it gets harder if you're not close. Close, I repeated. Is that what this is about? Keeping me close? His jaw tightened. Partially. Oliver. I'm not going to lie to you, Annie. I enjoy your company. I look forward to our conversations. You make me want to be better than I am. Is that so terrible? It's not terrible. It's complicated. Everything in my life is complicated. I looked at the contract again. 60,000 a year. Health insurance for Lily. Protection. A chance to actually save money, build a life, give my sister the future she deserved. But it meant stepping fully into Oliver's world. No more pretending I was just a waitress who happened to work at a mob-owned club. This was commitment. Can I think about it?
Take the weekend.
Let me know Monday. I took the folder home. Lily was asleep when I got there. Charlie curled up beside her bed, like always. I sat in our tiny kitchen and read through the contract 3 times. It was legitimate. Legal. Everything spelled out clearly. My duties would be managing his schedule, handling correspondence, coordinating with his various business managers. Nothing explicitly illegal mentioned, though I wasn't naive enough to think everything he did was above board. You're thinking too loud. Lily's voice came from her bedroom doorway. She looked tired, but better than she had in months. Her hair was starting to grow back in soft patches.
Sorry.
Didn't mean to wake you. You didn't. Charlie needed to go out. She sat across from me. What's that? A job offer. From Oliver. Her eyes widened. Your boss, Oliver? The one you talk about constantly? I don't talk about him constantly. Annie, you absolutely do. What kind of offer? I explained it. The position, the pay, the insurance, the protection. Lily was quiet for a long moment. You like him? It's not about that. Isn't it? Annie, I see how you look when you talk about him. How you smile. You haven't smiled like that since Mom and Dad. He's dangerous, Lily. His business, his life, everything about him is dangerous. And he's offering to protect you. To protect us. To give us health insurance, so I can actually beat this thing. She reached across and took my hand. Annie, you've sacrificed everything for me. Your college fund, your 20s, your whole life. Let me give you permission to do something for yourself for once. This isn't for me. This is for you. It's for both of us.
Take the job.
See where it goes. You deserve to be happy, and if this Oliver guy makes you happy, then maybe he's worth the risk.
I took the job.
Monday morning, I walked into Oliver's office and signed the contract. He shook my hand, professional and distant, but I saw the relief in his eyes. Welcome to the team, he said. My first week was overwhelming. I had my own desk in the outer office connected to Oliver's. I learned his schedule, met his various business associates, figured out the complex web of legitimate and less legitimate enterprises he ran. Restaurants, clubs, real estate, construction, import-export. Some of it was clean. Some of it definitely wasn't. But Oliver kept his promise. He never asked me to do anything illegal. Never put me in a position where I'd have to compromise my morals. I managed schedules and made phone calls and organized meetings. That was it. Well, almost. The other thing I did was spend every day with Oliver Russo. We had coffee together every morning. Lunch at his desk most days. Late nights, when he was working on something important and needed someone to talk through ideas with. He asked my opinion on things. Listened when I spoke. Treated me like an equal instead of an employee. And slowly, carefully, we fell in love. Neither of us said it. Neither of us crossed that line. But it was there in the way he looked at me. The way his hand would brush mine when he handed me papers. The way he'd smile when I walked into his office. The way I found excuses to stay late, to be near him, to exist in his orbit. It was dangerous and stupid and completely inevitable. 2 months into my new position, everything came crashing down. It was a Thursday night. I was finishing up some paperwork when Oliver's phone rang. I heard his voice through the door, sharp with anger, then silence. He appeared in my doorway, his face pale. Oliver? What's wrong? Get your sister.
Get Charlie.
Pack bags for both of you. You're coming with me.
Now. What?
Why? There's been a threat. Against me. Which means against you. I'm moving you somewhere safe until this is handled. What kind of threat? The kind that gets people killed if they don't take it seriously. He was already moving, grabbing his jacket, his keys. Annie, I need you to trust me. We don't have time for questions. Fear shot through me. Lily just started a new treatment cycle. She can't. I'll have a doctor meet us. Whatever she needs, she'll get. But we need to move.
Now.
I called Lily from the car, told her to grab her medications, grab Charlie, be ready in 10 minutes. I heard the fear in her voice, but she didn't argue. Oliver drove us to a house outside the city. Not a mansion, but comfortable.
Secure.
He had guards posted outside. How long?
I asked.
I don't know. Few days, maybe a week. Oliver, what's going on? He ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. There's a family from Chicago trying to move into my territory. They've made threats. I didn't take them seriously enough, and now they know about you. They know you matter to me. I matter to you? Don't. He turned away. Don't make me say things I can't take back. Why not? Because you deserve better than this. He whirled around, and I saw real anguish on his face. You deserve someone safe. Someone normal. Someone who can give you a regular life. Not someone whose enemies target the people he cares about. What if I don't want normal? Annie, what if I want you? The words hung between us. I'd said it. Finally said what we'd both been dancing around for months. Oliver closed the distance between us in 2 steps. His hands cupped my face, gentle despite their capacity for violence. If I kiss you right now, everything changes. You understand that?
There's no going back.
Then kiss me.
He did.
And he was right. Everything changed. We spent 3 days in that house. 3 days where Oliver barely left my side. Where we talked about everything, our pasts, our fears, our hopes. Where Lily recovered from her treatment with the best medical care money could buy. Where Charlie decided Oliver was acceptable and started following him around instead of me. Where I fell completely, irrevocably in love with a man whose world was built on danger. On the 4th day, Oliver got the call that the threat was handled.
He didn't tell me how.
I didn't ask. We went back to the city. Back to work. Back to reality. Except now, everyone knew. The way Oliver looked at me. The way I looked at him. We weren't hiding anymore. And that's when I learned the real cost of loving Oliver Russo. Because the people who wanted to hurt him now had the perfect weapon.
Me.
The first threat came 2 weeks after we returned to the city. I was leaving Lily's hospital appointment, Charlie trotting beside me on his leash, when a car pulled up next to me in the parking garage. Black sedan. Tinted windows. My stomach dropped. The window rolled down. A man I didn't recognize leaned out, smiling. Annie Cooper? I didn't answer. Oliver had taught me that much. Never confirm your identity to strangers. Tell Oliver that Marco sends his regards. Tell him we know where the pretty waitress lives. Where her sick sister gets treatment. Where she walks that ugly little dog. Charlie growled, which would have been more intimidating if he wasn't 12 pounds of scruffy terrier. You don't know what you're talking about, I said, keeping my voice steady. Sure I don't. Nice seeing you, Annie. I'm sure we'll see each other again real soon. The car pulled away. I stood there shaking, holding Charlie tight against my chest, trying to remember the license plate number. Trying to breathe. I called Oliver immediately. He answered on the first ring. Annie, what's wrong? I told him. Every detail. By the time I finished, I could hear the fury in his silence. Where are you right now? Still at the hospital parking garage. Stay there. I'm sending Tony to get you. Don't leave until he arrives. Don't talk to anyone. Oliver, they know about Lily. They know where we live. I know. I'm handling it. Just stay put. Tony arrived 15 minutes later, with 2 other men I recognized from the club. They escorted me to their car, drove me to Oliver's house, not the office. A house I'd never been to before. It was beautiful, modern but warm, with huge windows overlooking the city. Definitely not what I expected from a mob boss. Oliver was waiting inside, pacing. The moment he saw me, he pulled me into his arms. I'm sorry, he said into my hair. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. It's not your fault that people are insane. It's my fault that you're a target. He pulled back, his hands on my shoulders. I should have been more careful. Should have kept more distance between us. Is that what you want? Distance. What I want doesn't matter. What keeps you safe matters. What keeps me safe is being with you. You said so yourself. He shook his head. I was wrong. Being with me makes you a target. Being away from me keeps you alive.
Don't do this.
Don't push me away, because you're scared. I'm not scared, he said, but his eyes told a different story.
I am realistic.
These people, the Chicago family, Marco's crew, they play for keeps. They'll hurt you to hurt me. They'll hurt Lily. And I won't let that happen. So, what are you saying? I'm saying maybe this was a mistake. You and me. The words hit like a slap. You don't mean that. Annie?
No.
You don't get to kiss me, tell me you care about me, make me fall in love with you, and then decide it's too hard. That's not how this works. You love me? His voice was quiet. Of course I love you, you idiot. Why else would I be standing here arguing with you instead of running for my life? He closed his eyes. You shouldn't love me. Too late. When he opened his eyes again, they were filled with something that looked like pain. If I could give you a normal life, I would. If I could walk away from all of this, the business, the violence, the danger, I would do it for you. But I can't. This is who I am. This is my world. Then let me be in your world. Stop trying to protect me by pushing me away. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. I don't know how to love someone and keep them safe at the same time. Then we'll figure it out together. He pulled me close again and I felt him trembling. Oliver Russo, the man who terrified half the city, was shaking because he was afraid for me. I'll increase security, he said finally. Guards on you, and Lily 24/7. New apartment somewhere secure. New identity for your sister's medical records, so they can't track her. Whatever it takes. That seems excessive. That's the minimum. Annie, if anything happened to you because of me, I couldn't live with it. So that's what we did. Within 3 days, Lily and I moved into a luxury apartment building with a doorman and security cameras everywhere. 2 guards were assigned to us, rotating shifts. Lily thought it was exciting at first, like we were in a movie. But the reality of being followed everywhere, of having armed men outside your door, got old fast. I can't live like this forever, she told me one night. It's like being in a beautiful prison. It's temporary. Until Oliver handles the situation. And then what? Another situation comes up? Another threat? Annie, is this really the life you want? I didn't have a good answer. At work, things got more complicated. Oliver's legitimate business associates started treating me differently. Some with respect, recognizing I had the boss's ear. Others with suspicion, wondering what I really knew about his operations. And a few with barely concealed contempt, thinking I was just some waitress who'd slept her way into a position of influence. Angela Martinez was the worst. She'd worked for Oliver for 5 years, managing his real estate portfolio. Beautiful, sophisticated, and completely convinced that she should be the one by Oliver's side. Must be nice, she said one day, cornering me by the coffee machine. Going from serving drinks to running the boss's life. I manage his schedule, Angela. That's all. That's all. She laughed. Honey, everyone knows you're doing more than managing his schedule. We hear things. Late nights in his office. Private dinners. That cute little apartment he set you up in. My living situation is none of your business. It is when it affects the business. Oliver's distracted, making decisions with his heart instead of his head. That's dangerous in our world. Our world? You manage properties. You're not exactly deep in the family business. Her eyes flashed. I know more than you think. And I know that girls like you don't last. He'll get bored, or you'll get scared, and then you'll be gone. I'll still be here. She walked away, leaving me angry and unsettled. Because part of what she said was true. I was in over my head. Every day, I saw more of Oliver's world. The meetings with dangerous men. The phone calls where threats were made casually. The way problems had a habit of disappearing along with the people who caused them. I loved him, but I was also terrified of what loving him meant. The situation with the Chicago family escalated. There was a shooting outside one of Oliver's clubs. Nobody died, but 3 people were injured. Innocent people, customers who'd just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Oliver came home that night covered in someone else's blood. Not his own, but he'd been there. He'd helped carry one of the victims to the ambulance. "This has to stop," I told him as he washed his hands in the bathroom sink, the water running red. "People are getting hurt." "I know. So end it.
Talk to them.
Negotiate. Whatever it takes." You don't negotiate with people like Marco. You either submit or you fight. And you're going to fight? I don't have a choice, Annie. If I show weakness now, every family from here to New York will think they can move in on my territory. More people will get hurt. More violence. This ends one way, with Marco backing down or Marco gone. Gone as in dead. He didn't answer, which was answer enough. I thought about that a lot over the next few weeks. About the cost of Oliver's power. About the violence required to maintain it. About whether I could really live with loving someone who solved problems with bullets. Meanwhile, Lily's health started declining again. Not dramatically, but her latest tests showed the cancer wasn't responding as well to treatment. Dr. Patel recommended switching to a more aggressive protocol, one that would make her sicker in the short term but hopefully more effective long term. "How much?" I asked, though I already knew the answer would be terrible. "With your insurance, about $5,000 out of pocket for the first month. Then we'll reassess." $5,000. I had maybe $2,000 in savings. Oliver would give me the money without blinking, but I hated asking. Hated feeling dependent. Hated that my sister's life was tied to my relationship with a man whose world was falling apart. I told Oliver that night. We were having dinner at his house, one of the few quiet moments we'd had in weeks. "I'll take care of it," he said immediately. "Oliver, I can't keep taking money from you." "Why not?" "Because what happens if we break up? If this doesn't work out? I can't be financially dependent on you." "We're not breaking up. You don't know that. People break up all the time. And if we do, I need to know I can take care of Lily on my own."
He set down his fork.
"Is that what you're worried about? That I'm going to leave you?" "I'm worried about a lot of things. Angela made it clear that people think I'm temporary. That you'll get bored, or I'll get scared, and it'll be over." Angela doesn't know what she's talking about. Doesn't she? "Oliver, be honest. How many serious relationships have you had?" He was quiet for a moment.
"One.
"In my 20s. It ended badly." "How badly?" "She was killed. Car bomb meant for me. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time." My blood went cold. "Oliver. That's why I try to push you away at first. That's why I'm terrified every time you leave my sight. Because I've lost someone I loved before, and I can't do it again." "Why didn't you tell me this?" "Because I didn't want to scare you. Didn't want you to realize how dangerous it really is to be with me." "I already know it's dangerous. I'm not stupid." "No, you're brave. Braver than I am. You're still here, even though you know what could happen." "I'm here because I love you. But Oliver, you need to understand something. I can't live in fear forever. I can't have guards following me everywhere, can't jump every time a car pulls up next to me, can't wonder if every phone call is going to be bad news. Either we find a way to make this work really work, or we need to admit this isn't sustainable." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I need you to end this war with Chicago. I need you to find a way to make peace or win decisively or something, anything that doesn't involve months of escalating violence. Because Lily can't handle the stress, and honestly, neither can I." He reached across the table and took my hand. "I'm working on it. I have a meeting next week with some people who might be able to mediate. But Annie, I need you to be patient. These things take time. Lily might not have time. The new treatment is aggressive. She needs stability, not chaos. Then I'll give her stability. I'll give you both whatever you need." But what we needed was peace. And peace, I was learning, was the one thing Oliver couldn't guarantee. The meeting he mentioned didn't happen. Marco sent word that he wasn't interested in mediation, that he wanted Oliver's territory, plain and simple, and he was willing to fight for it. More violence followed. A warehouse burned. 2 of Oliver's men ended up in the hospital. The police started sniffing around, asking questions, and Oliver had to be more careful about everything he did. And through it all, I watched the man I loved become harder, more closed off. The gentle person who'd held me and talked about books and made me laugh disappeared, replaced by the cold, calculating mob boss who couldn't afford weakness. One night, 6 weeks into the war with Chicago, I found him in his office at 3 a.m., staring at surveillance photos spread across his desk. Photos of Marco and his men. Photos with red X marks over some of the faces. Oliver? Come to bed. Can't. Have to finish planning. Planning what? You don't want to know. Yes, I do. He looked up at me, and I barely recognized the expression on his face. I'm going to kill them, Annie. All of them. It's the only way this ends. There has to be another way. There isn't. I've tried everything else. They won't stop until I'm dead, or they're dead. So I'm making sure it's them. And what does that make you?
A monster.
But a monster who keeps you safe. Isn't that what matters?
No.
What matters is whether you can live with yourself after. I've lived with worse. I turned and walked out. Not because I was leaving him, but because I needed air. Needed to think. Needed to figure out if I could really love someone who was planning multiple murders like it was a business transaction. Lily found me on the balcony, wrapped in a blanket, tears streaming down my face. He's going to do something terrible, I told her. And I don't know how to stop him. Maybe you can't stop him. Maybe you can only decide if you can live with it. Could you? If you love someone, could you stay with them knowing they'd killed people? I don't know. But Annie, he's doing it to protect you. To protect us. Doesn't that count for something? Does it? Or is that just an excuse for violence? She didn't have an answer. Neither did I. The next morning, Oliver apologized. Said he shouldn't have been so cold, shouldn't have shut me out. But he didn't say he was changing his plans.
And I didn't ask him to.
Because deep down I knew he was right. This ended with someone dead. And I wanted it to be Marco, not Oliver. What did that make me? I was about to find out. Because Oliver's plan was about to go into motion, and the consequences would change everything. The night Oliver's plan went into motion, I was home with Lily. She'd just finished a brutal round of chemotherapy and could barely keep her eyes open. I was making her soup, something light that might stay down, when my phone rang. Oliver's name flashed on the screen. Hey, I answered. How's it going? Good. Everything's in place. Should be done by midnight.
His voice was calm. Too calm.
The voice of someone who'd made peace with what they were about to do. Oliver, are you sure about this? I'm sure. Annie, after tonight, this is over. No more threats. No more looking over our shoulders. We can have a normal life. Normal is relative when you're dating a mob boss. He laughed softly. Fair point. I'll call you when it's done. I love you. I love you too. Be safe. Always. He hung up. I stood there holding the phone, feeling sick. Somewhere across the city, men were about to die. Men with families, maybe.
Lives.
And Oliver was the one who'd given the order. He'll be okay, Lily said from the couch. Charlie was curled up next to her, as always. Oliver knows what he's doing. That's what I'm afraid of. I try to distract myself.
Put on a movie.
Made tea. Checked on Lily every 10 minutes, even though she was just sleeping. The guards outside our door changed shifts at 8. Everything was normal. Except it wasn't. At 9:30, there was a knock. Not at the door, but at the window. The window on the 14th floor. I froze. That was impossible. We were 14 floors up. Nothing could be at the window. The knock came again.
Urgent.
Desperate. I walked slowly to the window, my heart hammering. Drew back the curtain. A man hung from climbing equipment, pressed against the glass. Blood streaked his face. His mouth moved, forming words I couldn't hear through the glass. Behind him, the city stretched out in lights, beautiful and completely indifferent to whatever horror was unfolding. I should have called the guards. Should have run. But something about the terror in his eyes made me hesitate. I cracked the window open an inch. Who are you? Please, he gasped. Please, you have to help me. They're going to kill me. I can't help you. I don't know who you are. My name is David Chin. I work for Marco. Worked for Marco. I'm trying to get out. Your boyfriend, Oliver, he's killing everyone. Even the ones who want to surrender. Please, I have information. Information that can save lives. Just let me in, call the police, something. If you work for Marco, you tried to kill Oliver. I'm IT support. I fix computers. I never hurt anyone. Tears mixed with the blood on his face.
Please.
I have a daughter. She's 6. I just want to see her again. My hand hovered over the window latch. Every instinct screamed this was a trap. But what if it wasn't? What if Oliver really was killing people who wanted to surrender? Annie, who are you talking to? Lily's voice came from behind me. I turned, and in that split second of distraction, the window exploded inward. Not from David Chen. From bullets. I hit the floor as glass rained down. Lily screamed. Charlie barked frantically. The guards burst through our door, weapons drawn. When I looked up, David Chen was gone. Either he'd fallen or fled. I couldn't tell. But the window was shattered, and there was blood on the floor. Mine from cuts from the glass. Are you hit? One of the guards demanded, checking me over. No, I don't think so. Just cuts. Lily. She was on the floor too, Charlie on top of her like he was trying to shield her.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
What happened? Sniper, the other guard said into his phone. Building across the street.
Get a team there now.
Yes, she's fine. Shaken but fine. He turned to me. We need to move you.
Now.
Both of you. Grab essentials only. Where? Safe house. Different one from before. Move. We were in a car within 5 minutes. Different guards, different vehicle, racing through the city while I tried to process what had just happened. Someone had tried to kill me. Or David Chen. Or both of us. And where was Oliver? I tried calling him. Straight to voicemail. Tried again. Nothing. I need to reach Oliver. I told the guard driving. He's in the middle of something. He'll call when he can. Someone just tried to kill me. I think he needs to know that now. The guard exchanged a look with his partner. He knows. That's why we're moving you. He knows? How does he know? No answer. We pulled up to a house I'd never seen before. Smaller than the last safe house, but still nice.
Secure.
The guard swept it quickly, then brought us inside. Lily collapsed on the couch, exhausted and terrified. I wrapped her in a blanket, held Charlie, and tried to keep my hands from shaking. An hour passed. Then 2. No word from Oliver. At midnight, my phone finally rang. Unknown number. Hello. Annie, it's me. Oliver's voice, but wrong somehow.
Strained. Where are you?
What happened? Someone shot at me. I know.
I'm sorry.
That wasn't supposed to happen. What wasn't supposed to happen? Oliver, what's going on? The operation didn't go as planned. Marco, he knew we were coming. He had a counterplan. He went after you to draw me out. Did it work? I'm here, aren't I? I left my men to come make sure you're safe. Where are you? I can't tell you that. Not on the phone. But I need you to trust me. Stay where you are. Don't leave for any reason. I'll come to you when it's safe. Oliver, that man, David Chen, he said you were killing people who wanted to surrender. Silence on the other end. Long enough that I thought the connection had dropped. Oliver. David Chen is a liar. He's Marco's accountant. He knows where all the money is, all the evidence. Marco sent him to get to you, to use you as leverage. He was terrified, hanging from a building. He's a good actor. Annie, you can't trust anyone right now. Only me. Only my guards. Promise me you won't let anyone else near you or Lily. I promise. I love you. This will be over soon. He hung up. I sat there holding the phone, trying to make sense of everything. David Chen's terrified face. The blood. Oliver's strained voice. The pieces didn't quite fit together right. Annie. Lily's voice was small. I'm scared. Me too, sweetie. But we're safe here. Oliver's guards are outside. Nobody's getting to us. But I didn't feel safe. I felt like a chess piece being moved around a board I couldn't see. The next morning, I woke to my phone buzzing with news alerts. Multiple bodies found at a warehouse outside the city. At least 8 dead. Police investigating possible gang violence. 8 people.
Dead.
I ran to the bathroom and threw up. When I came out, Lily was awake, reading the same news on her phone. Her face was pale. Annie, did Oliver do this? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. 8 people. They were trying to kill us, Lily. They shot at our apartment. But 8 people. That's not self-defense. That's not protection. That's a massacre. She was right.
Of course she was right.
But what was I supposed to do? Turn Oliver in? Leave him? He was fighting to keep us alive. Except David Chen's words kept echoing in my head. Even the ones who wanted to surrender.
My phone rang.
Oliver. Did you see the news? I asked instead of hello. Yes. 8 people, Oliver.
Marco's men.
They were armed. They knew what they signed up for. What about David Chen? Was he there? A pause.
No.
He got away. So, he's still out there. Still a threat. I'll find him. And then what? You'll kill him too. Annie, don't do this.
Not now.
I need you to trust me. I'm trying to. But Oliver, 8 people. How am I supposed to be okay with that? You don't have to be okay with it. You just have to accept that it was necessary. Was it? Was all of this necessary? Or did you just want an excuse to wipe out the competition? That's not fair. None of this is fair. I'm locked in a safe house with my sick sister and a dog because you're in a war that's gotten 8 people killed. Maybe more. How is any of this fair? You're right. It's not. And I'm sorry. But Annie, this is who I am. This is what my world looks like. I warned you. You did. You're right. You warned me. I took a shaky breath. I need some time to think. Time to think about what? About whether I can do this. Whether I can be with someone who solves problems by killing people.
Anya, no.
Don't do this. I'm not breaking up with you. I'm just saying I need time to process.
Can you give me that?
Another long pause. How much time? I don't know. A few days.
A week.
However long it takes for this to feel less like a nightmare. Okay, I'll give you space. But Annie, I meant what I said. I love you. That hasn't changed. I love you too. That's what makes this so hard. We hung up. Lily was watching me, her eyes full of sympathy. You're thinking about leaving him. I don't know what I'm thinking. I just know I can't keep pretending this is normal. What if it is normal? For his world. Then maybe his world isn't where I belong. The next 3 days were the longest of my life. No word from Oliver, though the guards told me he called for updates constantly. More news reports about the warehouse massacre. Police looking for suspects. Witnesses coming forward with stories about the violence. And then, on the 4th day, something happened that changed everything. A woman showed up at the safe house door. Mid-30s, professional-looking, carrying a briefcase. The guards tried to turn her away, but she showed them a badge.
FBI.
They let her in, though they watched her carefully. Annie Cooper? She asked. Yes. My name is Special Agent Rebecca Torres. I need to talk to you about Oliver Russo. My stomach dropped. I have nothing to say without a lawyer. You're not under investigation. I'm here to offer you a way out. Out of what? She opened her briefcase and pulled out a folder. Inside were photos. Crime scene photos.
Bodies.
Evidence. And at the center of it all, Oliver. We've been building a case against the Russo organization for 3 years, Agent Torres said. We're close. Very close. But we need someone on the inside to testify. Someone he trusts. You want me to betray him. I want you to save yourself. And your sister. Because Annie, this doesn't end well for people in Oliver's orbit. They either end up dead or in prison. Is that what you want for Lily? To visit you behind bars when we finally take him down. I haven't done anything illegal. Haven't you? You manage his schedule. You coordinate his meetings. You know which of his businesses are legitimate and which are fronts. That makes you complicit. Unless you cooperate. She pulled out another photo. This one was of David Chun. This man came to us 2 days ago. He's agreed to testify against Marco's organization and Oliver's. He has evidence of money laundering, racketeering, murder for hire. And he says you saw him the night of the warehouse massacre. That you could have helped him, but you chose Oliver instead. That's not what happened, isn't it? Because from where I'm sitting, you chose a murderer over an innocent man who was begging for his life. Get out. Annie, think about your sister. She's 19 years old with her whole life ahead of her. But that only happens if she survives her cancer. Oliver's money might be paying for her treatment now, but what happens when he's arrested? When his assets are frozen? When you have no job and no income and a sister who needs expensive medical care? I said get out. Agent Torres stood, placed a card on the table. When you're ready to talk, call me. But don't wait too long. We're moving on this soon, with or without your cooperation. The question is whether you want to be collateral damage or a survivor. She left. The guards came back in, asking if I was okay. I wasn't okay. I was devastated. Because Agent Torres was right. This didn't end well. Either Oliver won his war, and I spent the rest of my life waiting for the next threat, the next violence, the next body count. Or he lost, and we all went down with him. And David Chen, the man I turned away, was going to make sure Oliver paid for everything he'd done. I looked at Lily, sleeping peacefully on the couch, Charlie curled against her. She looked so young, so fragile. She deserved better than this. Better than a life shadowed by violence and fear. But Oliver was the only reason she was still alive. His money had paid for her treatment. His connections had gotten her the best doctors. Everything good in our lives right now came from him. How do you betray someone who saved your sister's life? How do you stay with someone whose love might get you both killed? I picked up Agent Torres's card. FBI. A way out. A way to protect Lily, to give her a real future. All I had to do was destroy the man I loved. I put the card in my pocket and went to check on my sister. She stirred when I touched her forehead, opened her eyes. Annie, what's wrong? You look terrible.
I'm okay.
Just tired. You're a terrible liar. She sat up, wincing. What happened? So I told her. About Agent Torres. About David Chen. About the choice I was facing. When I finished, Lily was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, "What do you want to do?" I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know what's right anymore. Do you love him? Yes. Do you think he loves you? Yes. Then maybe that's what matters. Maybe love is worth fighting for, even when it's complicated. Or maybe love isn't enough when people are dying. People die every day, Annie. Car accidents, cancer, violence. You can't control that. All you can control is whether you stand by the people you love or you abandon them when things get hard. This is more than hard, Lily.
This is the FBI.
This is murder charges. This is life in prison. For him, maybe. But you haven't done anything wrong. If they had evidence against you, they would have arrested you already. They're just trying to scare you into cooperating. She was right. I knew she was right. But the fear was still there, cold and heavy in my chest. My phone buzzed. A text from Oliver. I miss you. Can we talk? I stared at the message. 3 simple sentences that meant everything and nothing. I could text back. Could call him. Could tell him about the FBI and David Chun and Agent Torres. Or I could make the call that would end all of this. What kind of person did I want to be? I looked at Agent Torres's card again. Then at Oliver's text. Then at Lily, who was watching me with complete faith that I'd make the right choice. The problem was I had no idea what the right choice was anymore. I called Oliver. Annie. The relief in his voice was immediate. Thank God. I've been going crazy not hearing from you. The FBI came to see me. Silence. Then, what did you tell them? Nothing. I sent them away. But Oliver, they have David Chun. He's cooperating. They're building a case. I know. My lawyer informed me this morning. They're bluffing, trying to scare you into flipping. It's working.
I'm terrified.
Come home.
Let me see you.
We'll figure this out together. I can't. Not yet. I need to know something first. Anything. Did you order those 8 men killed, or was it self-defense? The pause told me everything I needed to know before he spoke. It was necessary, Annie. They would have kept coming. Would have kept threatening you and Lily. I did what I had to do to end it. That's not what I asked.
Yes.
I ordered it. They walked into that warehouse knowing it might be a trap. They came armed and ready to kill my men. So yes, I made sure none of them walked out. I'm not sorry for protecting what's mine. What's mine? Like I was property. Like Lily was an asset. I need more time, I said. How much time? I don't know. Annie, please.
Don't shut me out.
We can get through this. Can we? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like your world is collapsing and you're going to drag me down with you. That's not going to happen. I have the best lawyers. The FBI has nothing solid, or they would have moved already. This is just pressure. And what about the next case? The next investigation? Oliver, this is your life. Constant warfare, constant threats, constant looking over your shoulder. I can't live like this. Then what are you saying? I'm saying maybe we made a mistake. Maybe we should have kept our distance like you wanted at the beginning. You don't mean that. Don't I? My sister is sick. She needs stability, not this chaos. And I'm so tired, Oliver. I'm so tired of being afraid. Then let me make it better.
Come home. Let me hold you.
Let me remind you why we're worth fighting for. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But fear was a powerful thing, and it was winning. I'll call you tomorrow, I said, and hung up before he could argue. Lily was disappointed in me. I could see it in her eyes, though she didn't say anything. She just held Charlie and watched me pace the safe house like a caged animal. The next morning, everything got worse. Lily's latest blood work came back. The aggressive treatment wasn't working. Her numbers were declining. Dr. Patel called me personally. We need to try something else, he said. There's an experimental trial at Johns Hopkins. It's shown promise for cases like Lily's, but it's expensive and not covered by insurance. How expensive? $75,000 for the first round. If it works, she'd need at least 3 rounds. Over $200,000. Money I didn't have. Money only Oliver could provide. I hung up and screamed into a pillow so Lily wouldn't hear. I was trapped. Completely, utterly trapped. I couldn't leave Oliver because Lily needed his money. But staying with him meant accepting the violence, the danger, the FBI investigation hanging over our heads. What kind of choice was that? I called Oliver back. Lily needs a new treatment. Experimental. At Johns Hopkins. How much? I told him.
Done.
I'll have the money transferred today. Whatever she needs. Thank you. Annie, does this mean? It doesn't mean anything except I'm not going to let my sister die for my principles. But Oliver, we're not okay. You and me, we're not okay. I know. But we will be. I promise you we will be. 2 days later, Lily and I flew to Baltimore with 2 guards. Johns Hopkins was impressive, the doctors confident. They started her treatment immediately. And it was brutal. Worse than anything she'd been through before. She was sick constantly, exhausted, in pain. I stayed by her bedside, holding her hand, watching her suffer, and knowing that Oliver's blood money was the only thing keeping her alive. The irony wasn't lost on me. Back in the city, things deteriorated rapidly. Marco's remaining men retaliated, burning down one of Oliver's restaurants. 3 employees were injured, 1 critically. The police pressure intensified. The FBI started interviewing everyone connected to Oliver, trying to build their case. And David Chun went public. Gave an interview to a major newspaper about the violence, the corruption, the murders. Named Oliver specifically as someone who'd ordered hits on rival organization members. Oliver called me from his lawyer's office. I'm being indicted. Multiple counts. Racketeering, conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering. My world tilted. When? Arraignment is tomorrow. They're letting me surrender voluntarily, so that's something. Annie, I need you to know whatever happens, you and Lily are protected. I've set up accounts in your name. Trusts that can't be touched by the government. Even if they freeze my assets, you'll have money for her treatment. You're talking like you're not coming back. I'm talking like a realist. This is bad. Really bad. But Annie, I need you to trust me one more time.
Can you do that?
I don't know if I can trust anyone anymore. Then trust this. I love you. Everything I've done, every choice I've made since I met you, has been to keep you safe. To give you and Lily a chance at a real life. If I go down, it's worth it if you're okay. Don't talk like that. Someone has to be realistic. Annie, if something happens to me, promise me you'll take care of yourself. That you won't let guilt eat you alive. That you'll remember I chose this. All of it. Oliver. Promise me. I promise.
He was arrested the next day.
The news showed him in handcuffs, being led into the courthouse. He looked smaller somehow. More human. Less like the dangerous man who terrified the city and more like someone's son, someone's lover, someone who made terrible choices and was finally paying for them. Angela called me. This is your fault. You distracted him. Made him weak. If he'd been focused on business instead of playing house with you, he would have seen this coming. I hung up on her. The guards disappeared. Without Oliver's orders, they had no reason to stay. Suddenly, Lily and I were alone in Baltimore, no protection, no security. Just two women and a dog in a hospital far from home. What do we do now? Lily asked from her hospital bed. I don't know. I really don't know. Agent Torres found me in the hospital cafeteria 2 days later. The offer still stands, she said, sitting across from me uninvited. Testify against him, and we'll make sure you're protected. You and your sister. Protected from what? He's in jail.
For now.
But he'll make bail. And when he does, everyone who cooperated with our investigation becomes a target. Including David Chun, who's in witness protection. Including anyone else who decides to do the right thing. The right thing? I repeated bitterly. You mean betray someone I love? I mean save yourself and your sister. Annie, look at where you are. In a hospital in a city you don't know, watching your sister fight for her life with money from a criminal enterprise. Is this really the life you want? What I want doesn't seem to matter much lately. Then make it matter. Choose yourself for once. Choose Lily. Choose a future that isn't built on blood money. She left me with her card. Again. That night, Lily's fever spiked. The experimental treatment had triggered an infection. Doctors rushed in, started antibiotics, talked in hushed voices about complications and risk factors. I sat in the hallway and cried. For Lily. For Oliver. For the mess my life had become.
My phone rang.
Unknown number. Hello. Annie, it's me. Oliver's voice, scratchy like he was calling from a bad connection. I made bail. I'm out. Already. My lawyers are good. Listen, I need you to come home. Both of you. It's not safe there alone. Lily can't travel. She has an infection. The doctors need to monitor her. He swore softly. Okay. Okay, I'm coming to you. Don't leave the hospital. I'll have new guards there within the hour. Oliver, I can't do this anymore. Do what?
This. Us.
Any of it. I'm drowning, and every time I think I can breathe, something else drags me under. Annie, please. Don't give up on us now. We're so close to the other side of this. What other side? You're facing life in prison. The FBI wants me to testify against you. My sister is dying. There is no other side. There's just more disaster. You're wrong. I'm going to beat these charges. I'm going to end this war with what's left of Marco's people. And then we're going to have the life we talked about. You, me, Lily, that ugly dog. A real life. You can't promise that. Watch me. He hung up. And despite everything, despite all the reasons I should have walked away, part of me believed him. Part of me still hoped. That hope died the next morning when Lily coded. Machines screaming. Doctors rushing. Me being pushed out of the room while they worked on my sister. 20 minutes that felt like 20 hours. When they finally let me back in, Lily was stable but barely conscious. The infection had spread to her bloodstream. Septic shock. They'd gotten her back, but it was close. Too close. She needs to stay here at least another 2 weeks, Dr. Patel said gently. The experimental treatment combined with the infection, her body is under enormous stress. Moving her right now could be fatal. I called Oliver. Told him. Then I'm coming there. I'll fly out tonight.
No.
You can't. You're out on bail. Leaving the state violates your conditions. I don't care. Oliver, they'll revoke your bail. You'll go back to jail. And I'll get out again. Annie, you need me. I'm coming. What I need is for you to beat these charges. I need you free, not making romantic gestures that land you in prison. Silence. Then, you're right.
Okay.
But Annie, I'm sending someone. Marco's cousin, Teresa. She's good people, knows medicine, can help. I don't need help. I need my sister to live. I know. I'm sorry I can't be there. We hung up. I went back to Lily's room and held her hand while machines beeped and medicine dripped through IVs, and my world continued falling apart. Teresa arrived the next day. Mid-40s, kind eyes, nurses training. She stayed with me in shifts, made sure I ate, forced me to sleep occasionally. Oliver talks about you constantly, she said one night in the cafeteria. Even before he got arrested. You're all he thinks about. That's the problem. He should be thinking about his defense, not me. Maybe you're what keeps him fighting.
Ever think of that? I had.
That's what scared me. The idea that I'd become Oliver's weakness, his vulnerability. The thing his enemies could exploit. David Chen proved that 3 days later. The news broke in the afternoon. David Chen had been murdered in witness protection. Shot twice in a parking garage despite FBI surveillance. His testimony, the cornerstone of their case against Oliver, was gone. Agent Torres called me immediately. This was your boyfriend. He had David Chen killed to protect himself. You don't know that. Who else had motive? David was going to testify, and now he's dead. That's not coincidence, Annie. That's Oliver Russo tying up loose ends. Even if he did, I don't know anything about it. But you could have prevented it. If you'd cooperated weeks ago, David Chen would still be alive. The accusation hit like a physical blow. She was right. If I'd turned on Oliver, if I'd given the FBI what they wanted, maybe David Chen would still be breathing. Another death on my conscience. Another cost of loving Oliver Russo. Leave me alone, I whispered. I can't.
Because you're next, Annie.
You know too much. You've seen too much. Once Oliver doesn't need you anymore, once your sister either recovers or... She didn't finish the sentence.
Didn't have to.
Get away from me. Agent Torres stood. The offer expires in 48 hours. After that, you're on your own. Think about your sister. Think about whether Oliver's love is worth both your lives. She left. I sat there, numb, trying to process everything. Had Oliver ordered David Chen's murder?
Probably.
Would he do the same to anyone else who threatened him? Absolutely. Would he hurt me? I didn't think so. But a month ago, I didn't think he'd kill 8 people either. A month ago, I believed love was enough. Now I didn't know what I believed. Lily's conditions stabilized over the next week. The infection cleared. Her body started responding better to the experimental treatment. Dr. Patel was cautiously optimistic again. She's strong, he told me. Stronger than most patients I've seen. Whatever's keeping her fighting, it's working. What was keeping her fighting was me. I knew that. She was holding on because I needed her, because giving up would mean leaving me alone. That's when I made my decision. I called Oliver. I need to see you. In person. You're coming home? You're coming here. I don't care about your bail conditions. We need to talk face to face. Annie, what's wrong? Everything. Everything is wrong, and we need to figure out if there's any way to make it right. He arrived the next night. Guards drove him, keeping watch while we met in a private room the hospital let us use. He looked terrible. Thinner, tired, like the weight of his world was crushing him. But when he saw me, his face transformed. He pulled me into his arms, held me like I might disappear. I've missed you, he said into my hair. God, I've missed you. Did you kill David Chin? He pulled back, looked at me.
Didn't lie.
Yes. Why? Because he was going to testify. Because his testimony would have put me away for life. Because I couldn't let that happen. So you had him murdered. I protected myself. Protected us. Annie, you have to understand, in my world it's kill or be killed. I chose to live. And that makes it okay?
No.
It makes it necessary. There's a difference. I stepped away from him. I can't do this anymore, Oliver. I can't love someone who solves every problem with violence. Who kills people to avoid consequences. Who makes me complicit in murder just by staying with him. You're not complicit. You've done nothing wrong. Haven't I? I've taken your money. Used it to save my sister. Lived in your apartments. Worked at your club. Managed your schedule. I've been part of your organization, whether I wanted to admit it or not. And Agent Torres is right. Eventually, that's going to come back on me. I won't let that happen. You can't promise that. You're facing life in prison, Oliver. Multiple charges. And without David Chen's testimony, you might beat some of them, but not all. Eventually, you're going down. And when you do, what happens to me? To Lily? I've set up trusts. Accounts. You'll be taken care of. I don't want blood money. I want a real life. I want to sleep without nightmares. I won't look at myself in the mirror without seeing someone who let a man die because I was too afraid to do the right thing. The right thing, he repeated. You mean betraying me. I mean not being an accessory to murder. He flinched like I'd hit him. Is that what you think you are? Isn't it? I knew you were dangerous. I knew people were dying because of your war with Marco. And I stayed anyway because I needed your money. Because Lily needed your money. I sold my soul for my sister's life, and now I have to live with that.
Annie, no.
You saved your sister. That's all you did. You can't blame yourself for my choices. Can't I? Because if I'd left you months ago, if I'd walked away when I knew I should have, maybe David Chen would still be alive. Maybe those 8 men at the warehouse. Maybe all of this could have been avoided. Or maybe it would have happened anyway and Lily would be dead because you couldn't afford her treatment. You don't know. None of us know. He was right. I didn't know. But the guilt was eating me alive anyway. I need you to turn yourself in, I said quietly. What?
Confess.
To everything. The murders, the racketeering, all of it. Take responsibility. Face the consequences. That's life in prison, Annie. You know that. I know. But it's the only way this ends without more people dying. It's the only way I can live with myself. And what about us? There is no us. Not anymore. Not like this. He looked like I'd gutted him. You're breaking up with me. I'm setting us both free. You from the burden of protecting me. Me from the guilt of being with you. I don't want to be free. I want you. You want me to watch you kill people and pretend it's love? That's not love, Oliver. That's possession. That's not fair. None of this is fair. My voice broke. I love you. God help me. I love you so much it's killing me. But I can't be with you. I can't watch you destroy yourself and everyone around you. I can't be the person who enabled that. He was crying now. Oliver Russo, the man who terrified the city, had tears streaming down his face. Don't do this, he begged.
Please.
I'll change. I'll find a way out of this life. We'll leave, start over somewhere else. Whatever you need. I need you to be someone you're not. And that's not fair to either of us. I walked to the door, then turned back. I meant what I said.
Turn yourself in. Confess.
Maybe if you do, the judge will be lenient. Maybe you'll get 20 years instead of life. Maybe you'll get out while you're still young enough to build a different life. Without you.
Yes.
Without me. I left him there and went back to Lily's room. She took one look at my face and knew. You ended it. I had to. Did you though? Or did you just get scared? Both. I got scared and I ended it, and now I have to figure out how to live with that choice. Lily reached for my hand. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Then why does it feel like I just made the biggest mistake of my life? She didn't have an answer. Neither did I. Oliver left Baltimore that night, went back to the city to face his charges, his trial, his consequences. Alone. And I stayed in the hospital with my sister, trying to figure out how to be the kind of person who could live with impossible choices. 3 months later, Lily was in full remission. The experimental treatment worked. Her cancer was gone. Not in hiding, not in temporary retreat, but actually gone. Dr. Patel used words like miraculous and unprecedented response. Lily cried. I cried. Even Charlie seemed to understand something good had happened. We moved back to the city, to a small apartment I could actually afford on my new job. Nothing fancy, nothing connected to Oliver, just a normal place for a normal life. Except nothing felt normal without him. I followed his trial in the news. The prosecution's case was weaker without David Chen's testimony, but they still had evidence. Financial records, surveillance photos, witness statements from lower-level members of his organization who'd flipped. Oliver's lawyers were good. They poked holes in the prosecution's timeline, questioned the credibility of witnesses, argued that Oliver was a legitimate businessman being targeted because of his family name. It might have worked. He might have beaten the worst charges. Then Oliver did something that shocked everyone. He confessed. Not to everything, but to enough. To the racketeering. To the money laundering. To ordering violence, though he maintained it was self-defense and defense of his organization. The prosecution was stunned. The defense was furious. And I understood exactly why he'd done it. Because I'd asked him to. Because even after I'd left him, even after I'd broken his heart, he was trying to be the man I'd wanted him to be. The sentencing hearing was scheduled for a Friday. I debated going. Lily encouraged it. You owe him that much, she said.
To be there.
To show him he didn't do it for nothing. So I went. Sat in the back of the courtroom, watching Oliver in his expensive suit, thinner now, more serious. His eyes swept the courtroom once and locked on mine. The relief on his face was heartbreaking. The judge spoke. Mr. Russo, you've confessed to serious crimes. Crimes that have caused harm to this community, to families, to individuals. Do you have anything to say before I deliver your sentence? Oliver stood. Yes, Your Honor.
Ido.
He turned slightly, so he was addressing both the judge and the courtroom. Addressing me. I grew up in this world. Violence, crime, power. It was all I knew, all I thought I could be. And I was good at it. I built an empire, earned respect, made people fear me. I thought that was success. He paused, and his eyes found mine again. Then I met someone who saw past all of that, who looked at me and saw a human being, not a title, not a monster, just a man who could choose to be better.
She challenged me.
Made me want to be worthy of her. Made me realize that everything I'd built, all that power and fear, meant nothing if I couldn't be someone she could respect. My throat tightened. I failed her. Multiple times. Made choices that hurt people, that compromised my integrity, that proved I wasn't the man she believed I could be. And I lost her because of it. But, Your Honor, I learned something important. It's never too late to choose differently. Never too late to take responsibility. Never too late to try to be better. He turned back to the judge.
I'm guilty.
Of the crimes I confessed to, and probably more. I've hurt people. Destroyed lives. Built my success on the suffering of others. And I'm ready to face the consequences. All I ask is that you believe I'm sincere when I say I'm sorry. And that if given the chance, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make amends. The courtroom was silent. Even the prosecutors looked moved. The judge deliberated for what felt like hours, but was probably minutes. Mr. Russo, your confession and apparent remorse weigh in your favor. However, the severity of your crimes cannot be ignored. I hereby sentence you to 15 years in federal prison, with possibility of parole after 10 years for good behavior. 15 years. 10 minimum. Oliver would be in his mid-40s when he got out if he got parole. They led him away. He looked back once, caught my eye, and smiled. Not a happy smile. A peaceful one. Like he'd finally done the right thing. I left the courtroom in a daze. Lily was waiting outside. He did it for you, she said. The confession, the apology, all of it. He did it for you. I know. So what now? Now he serves his time. And I figure out how to live with the fact that the man I love is in prison because I asked him to be better. That's not fair. He's in prison because of his choices. Is he though? Or is he there because I couldn't love him as he was? Lily didn't have an answer. Life moved forward. I got a job at a nonprofit helping families navigate the healthcare system, using everything I'd learned fighting for Lily's treatment to help other people fight for theirs. It was good work. Meaningful work. The kind that let me sleep at night. Lily started college, studying biology, with dreams of medical research. Charlie got old but happy, content to sleep on the couch and occasionally bark at nothing. And I tried not to think about Oliver every single day. I failed at that last part. 6 months after his sentencing, I got a letter. Prison stationery. Oliver's handwriting. Annie, I don't expect you to write back. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that confessing, taking responsibility, was the best decision I ever made. For the first time in my life, I can look at myself in the mirror and not hate what I see. You gave me that. You gave me the courage to be better. Thank you. Whatever happens, wherever life takes you, I hope you're happy. You deserve happiness. All my love, Oliver. I cried reading it. Then I wrote back. Thus began a correspondence that neither of us expected. Letters back and forth, careful at first, then more open. He told me about prison life, the books he was reading, the therapy he'd started. I told him about my job, about Lily's progress, about Charlie's adorable old dog antics. We didn't talk about us. Didn't make promises. Just existed in each other's lives through words on paper. A year passed. Then 2. Lily graduated college with honors. I got promoted to director at the nonprofit. Life was good. Stable. Everything I'd said I wanted. But Oliver was always there in the back of my mind, in the letters that arrived every 2 weeks like clockwork. In year 3, he wrote something different. Annie, I have a parole hearing coming up. My lawyers think I have a good chance. I've been a model prisoner, completed multiple rehabilitation programs, helped other inmates get their GEDs. The warden is writing a letter of support. But I need to know something before I get my hopes up. If I get out, if I'm actually free, is there any chance for us? I know it's not fair to ask. You've built a life without me, and you have every right to keep it that way. But I have to know, because if there's even a possibility, I'll fight for parole with everything I have. If there's not, I'll serve my full sentence and leave you in peace. Whatever you decide, I'll respect it. But please be honest. Do we have a future? I read the letter a dozen times. Showed it to Lily. What do you want? She asked. I don't know. I thought I was over him. Thought I'd moved on. But reading this, I realize I've just been waiting for him to serve his time, to prove he really changed, to become the man he promised to be. Then tell him that. What if he gets out and he's the same? What if prison didn't change him, just paused him? What if it did change him? What if he comes out better, stronger, ready to build a real life? Annie, you've been in love with him for 5 years. At some point, you have to decide if that love is worth taking a risk. She was right.
Of course she was right.
I wrote back. Oliver, yes. If you get out, if you're really free, there's a chance for us. But I need you to understand something. I won't go back to that life. The violence, the crime, the constant fear. If we do this, it has to be different. It has to be real. Can you promise me that? His response came faster than usual. I promise. No more crime. No more violence. Just a normal life with an extraordinary woman. If I get parole, I'll prove it to you every single day. I love you, Annie. I never stopped. The parole hearing was scheduled for a cold day in November. I took the day off work, drove 3 hours to the prison, sat in a waiting room with other families hoping for good news. When they called Oliver's case, I was allowed to attend as a character witness. I sat in the small hearing room, watched Oliver in his prison uniform, hair grayer now, face harder but eyes softer. He spoke to the parole board about his crimes, his remorse, his rehabilitation, about the therapy, the programs, the ways he'd changed, about his plans for re-entry, the job his lawyer had lined up, the support system waiting for him. Then they asked if anyone wanted to speak on his behalf. I stood up. My name is Annie Cooper. Oliver Russo changed my life. Not because of his money or his power, but because he showed me what it looks like when someone chooses to change. When I met him, he was dangerous, violent, everything I should have run from. But underneath that was a good man trapped in a bad life. I challenged him to be better, and he rose to that challenge. He confessed when he could have fought. He took responsibility when he could have blamed others. He spent 5 years becoming someone worthy of a second chance. I believe he deserves that chance. I believe he's not the same man who entered this prison. And I'm willing to bet my future on that belief. The parole board deliberated, then delivered their decision. Mr. Russo, based on your exemplary behavior, completion of rehabilitation programs, remorse for your crimes, and strong support system, we are granting your request for parole. You will be released in 30 days with standard conditions. Don't make us regret this decision. Oliver's face transformed. Pure joy, pure relief, pure hope. They let us speak briefly after the hearing. He pulled me into a hug, this time through prison plexiglass.
Thank you, he said.
For believing in me. For waiting. For giving me a reason to be better. Don't thank me yet. You still have to prove it. I will. Every day for the rest of my life, I'll prove it. Oliver was released on a Tuesday morning in December. I picked him up from the prison with Lily and Charlie in the back seat. He looked different. Older, yes, but also lighter. Like prison had burned away everything extra, leaving only the essential parts. He slid into the passenger seat, and Charlie immediately jumped into his lap, licking his face like they'd been separated for days instead of years. Hey, ugly dog, Oliver laughed, scratching behind Charlie's ears. Missed you too. Lily leaned forward. Welcome back to the world. Thanks for taking care of my girl while I was gone. Your girl took care of herself. I just provided moral support. We drove back to the city, Oliver staring out the window like he'd never seen buildings and trees and sky before. Maybe he hadn't, not really, not for 5 years. Where are we going? He asked. My apartment. It's small, but it's home. Sounds perfect. It wasn't perfect. It was a 1-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood with furniture from thrift stores and dishes that didn't match. But Oliver walked in and smiled like it was a palace. It's honest, he said. No blood money. No dirty deals. Just you, building a life through hard work. It's beautiful. You're easy to impress after 5 years in prison.
No.
I'm just finally seeing what matters. His parole conditions were strict. Weekly meetings with his parole officer. Random drug tests. Employment within 30 days. No contact with known criminals, which eliminated most of his old associates. No leaving the state without permission. Oliver followed every rule religiously. The job his lawyer had arranged was at a construction company, legitimate and boring. Oliver worked 60-hour weeks doing manual labor, came home exhausted and happy. He rented a studio apartment 3 blocks from mine, small and clean and completely legal. We dated like normal people. A coffee shops and movies and walks in the park with Charlie.
No bodyguards, no triads, no violence.
Just a man and a woman figuring out if they still fit together.
They did. We did.
Slowly, carefully, we rebuilt trust. He showed me his parole check-ins, his pay stubs, his clean drug tests. Proved with actions, not words, that he'd changed. That he was committed to this new life. 6 months after his release, he proposed. Not with a diamond ring that cost more than a car. With a simple silver band and a promise. I can't give you the world anymore. Can't shower you with expensive things or protect you with an army of guards.
All I can give you is me. The real me.
The man who loves you more than anything, who'll spend every day trying to deserve you. Is that enough? It was more than enough. We got married in a small ceremony with Lily as my maid of honor and Charlie as our ring bearer, which went exactly as chaotically as you'd expect. Oliver's lawyer attended, one of the only people from his old life who'd stood by him. My co-workers from the nonprofit came. Lily's college friends. It was perfect. Small and honest and full of love. Angela Martinez showed up uninvited, dressed in black like she was attending a funeral. She cornered me during the reception. "This won't last," she said. "He'll get bored of playing poor. He'll miss the power, the respect. You'll see. Or maybe you're wrong. Maybe some people really can change.
People don't change.
They just pretend until they don't have to anymore."
Ismail her.
Then I guess we'll find out. But Angela, either way, it's not your concern anymore.
Oliver Chosme.
Accept it and move on. She left shortly after. I never saw her again. Life settled into a rhythm. Oliver worked construction, eventually becoming a foreman. I stayed at the nonprofit helping families. Lily finished her master's degree and started working at a research hospital, studying cancer treatments. The irony wasn't lost on any of us. Charlie passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 14, surrounded by everyone who loved him. We buried him in a pet cemetery with a headstone that read, "Charlie, the ugliest, most loved dog who ever lived." We adopted 2 more dogs, both rescues. Named them Hope and Justice because we were those kinds of people now. 3 years after Oliver's release, Agent Torres appeared at my office. Older, more tired, but still carrying that same intensity. "I wanted you to know," she said. "We closed the Russo case. Everyone connected to the organization has either been prosecuted or moved on. It's done." "Why tell me?" "Because you were right. About him. About the possibility of change. I've been doing this job for 20 years, and I've never seen someone truly reform like Oliver did. Usually they get out and fall right back into old patterns. But him, he really did it. Built a completely legitimate life. That's rare. He had good reason. He had you. Not everyone's that lucky." She stood to leave, then paused. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry about David Chen. About using his death to pressure you. That wasn't fair."
No.
"It wasn't. But I understand why you did it." She left. Another ghost from our past, finally laid to rest. 5 years after Oliver's release, Lily got married. To a sweet guy she'd met at a research conference, someone who understood her drive and supported her dreams. Oliver walked her down the aisle since our father couldn't, tears streaming down his face the whole time. "She's not even my real sister," he whispered to me during the reception. "But I love her like she is." "She loves you too. You saved her life, Oliver. Both of ours. You saved mine first." 7 years after his release, Oliver's parole ended. He was completely free, no more check-ins, no more restrictions. We celebrated by taking a trip to the beach, something we'd never been able to do before. We sat on the sand at sunset, watching waves roll in, Hope and Justice playing in the surf. "I never thought I'd have this," Oliver said.
Peace.
Real, actual peace. Was it worth it? The prison time, the hard work, giving up everything you had. "Annie, I didn't give up anything that mattered. I gave up violence and crime and fear. What I got in return was you, Lily, this life.
Yes.
It was worth every second.
No regrets.
Only that it took me so long to figure out what really mattered."
But no. No regrets.
I leaned against him, feeling his arm around me, solid and safe and here. "I love you," I said. "I love you too. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for becoming someone worth not giving up on." We sat there as the sun set, painting the sky in oranges and pinks and purples. 2 people who'd found each other in the worst circumstances and built something beautiful from the ashes. It wasn't the life I'd imagined at 24, working double shifts and drowning in medical bills. It wasn't the life Oliver had imagined either, ruling the city through fear and power. It was better. Smaller, quieter, but infinitely better. Because it was real. It was earned. It was ours. And that made all the difference. So here's what I learned. People can change, but only if they want to. Love isn't enough on its own. You need respect and honesty and the willingness to be better than you were yesterday. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away. And sometimes the bravest thing is to stay and fight for what could be. Oliver and I did both. We walked away from who we were and fought to become who we wanted to be.
Together.
If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for taking this journey with me. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button, subscribe for more stories, and drop a comment letting me know what you thought. What would you have done in my situation? Could you forgive someone who'd done terrible things? Could you believe in change? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, remember that it's never too late to choose differently. Never too late to be better. Never too late to fight for the life and love you deserve. This is Annie Cooper Russo, signing off.